It's starting as a streaming. But to give me a thumbs up, Irene. All right, we are live for another coffee talk with Kristel. You can see I've started with my little red lipstick there. So grab your cup of coffee, your tea, whatever is warm. And it's for me because at the time that I'm doing this is a nice Thursday morning, and I love that I have today my guest speaker is going to be joining us all the way from the mountain of Mount Shasta, which it's been a year since I was last there, and I spent almost 10 months in Mount Shasta. It was a treat to be in the mountain, in the Lemurian energy, into the sacred energy of what they call the earth, the root chakra of the world. And the people that I've met, the courses, the energy, the sessions that I've done and that I did over there. Matthew, whom I'm bringing forth today, is was my mentor, guide. I'm not gonna say was in this particular container of sessions that he did. That's what he did. He continues to be a guide, and I see you can follow him on social media. He has courses. He just started sharing with me also an annual event that they do. So just want to preface that I actually have worked one-on-one with Matthew and helped me in connecting with my inner child. Mediumship course that I did with Matthew. And I think it was about 3 months. So intense, one-on-one, very valuable, feeling the colors in my field, just really impactful. And I asked him, would you come and share with me whatever is in our heart to share right now as we co-create this moment? And he said yes. So without further ado, I'll bring forth my friend, mentor, teacher. Where's my spotlight? Matthew Bueno, who's joining us early morning from Mount Shasta.
It's too early. It's
But thank you for
yeah,
being a
it's
yes and being here. How
yeah.
are you?
I'm doing well. I have had a lot of things happening this past year. It's amazing right now because there's so much happening in the world. Um, there are groups of consciousness, which is people who the collective who focus on one thing or the other. Um, for us living here in Mount Shasta, a lot of people here in Mount Shasta were called here. I broke down in 1986 um, 1996, excuse me, 1996 over on Sweetbriar, which is by the Sacramento River, coming down from a medicine dance in Yakima, Washington, and I lost my transmission. It just went out on me on the way down from the hill coming over Mount Shasta, and I didn't even know there was a town here. I thought it was just the mountain and maybe a couple lakes and rivers. I didn't know there was an actual Mount Shasta town back then because it was so small, you know, and there was a few stores, and I found this place, and I just started discovering so much more here. And it was almost like an introduction from the mountain, literally. You know, I couldn't go anywhere for like 6 weeks until I got a transmission from Sacramento. And so it's been a wild ride here. How the mountain, when it invites you here, you become part of that invitation, and it's wonderful to be able to be in that frequency vibration. To we all have what we call an octave. An octave is like a tuning fork. Our bodies, we have energy and we have water in our bodies. And so whatever we think, whatever we focus on, we amplify that with good. If we have When we have good intentions, we amplify that energy out from our body. And my octave has always been like the tuning fork of drawing in adventure, drawing in guides, teachers, ceremonies. My personal deep search or octave has always been implemented in me from a very young age, as I was adopted and at 3 months old. And It was it was because I searched for my birth parents that I continue to search for them in a way that fills that part of me up, that missing part of myself. And I'm not sure if all adoptees feel that same way, but I know for me and my sister was adopted as well, and she comes from a different family. And she found her parents, her mom, when she was 19, and she had the advantage because she became a social worker, so she was able to get all her transcripts, from that time easily. And hers experience was not what I would want for myself. It was a really horrific experience for her and very dramatic and emotional. And I think for the most part, adoptees always want to know if we have siblings, we have brothers and sisters. And I grew up wanting a brother so bad, and I actually did. I have two, Danny and Anthony, and then a sister. And the funny thing is that my sister that I went to school with her. I didn't even know I went to school with her. And when I met her, I said, "Oh my God, it's you!" And we both, were laughing about that because we were going to school together. And so throughout my life, I've always been searching for my birth parents. It took me 47 years to find my mom, and then find my sister, I found my sister, my mom, and then my dad. And it's funny because my octave, my search energy, looking for relatives all this time, I was manifesting constantly people in my life. I manifested medicine men who became teachers. I manifested other brothers and sisters that became part of my family. I manifested ceremony that helped me to go deeper into myself. And the beautiful thing about life, this my life has been, is that there's always a new chapter. There's always something different coming up for me, a new chapter. Just, and I can tell, and it just doesn't come with age. I think it comes with experience. And the more experience that you have in life, the more experience that you gain in yourself, it really grants you a new set of eyes, like your perceptions start to shift and change. And I can recognize when I was really young, I was really super spiritual. I had a lot of power, I guess. In my 20s, I was able to move things with my mind. I scared a lot of people. And I was like a kid in a toy shop because I could do all these things with my mind. I can call in the spirits. I can heal people with my mind. But the world wasn't ready for that. And I recognized, and I became more of an outcast than someone who people wanted to know, because I was weird. And at that time, I had to really look back and just kind of tone everything down, which is, I feel a lot of us do in life. A lot of us have gifts that we have to tone down because a lot of people are afraid about what we have, the kind of power we have, and people are afraid to bring that out. So this time now, in this chapter of my life, I am helping people bring that out, teaching them how to readjust their connections and feel freedom in their octave to have their own container. A container is the vibration that you create around your body that manifests the world you want to live in. We all have that power. We all have that technology, that awareness. And once you come into the awareness to really profoundly change your realities, you also change the vibration and the realities for others in your life. And it's been a very virtuous, rewarding experience for me, because a lot of my students these days are teachers for me. Every person that I work with, I learn from, and what I got from my ancestors, my masters, and my guides is always to pour as much wisdom into people as much as possible. Not ever hold back. Not to say, "Oh, I'm going to save this for later." I'll say, "Oh, you're not ready for that. I'm just going to save that for a rainy day." No, we just bring everything in. and allow that person to unfold in their own dramatic way. So I'd like to share a grounding energy technique with you that allows your listeners and the people here today to experience what it means to have a feeling of their personal octave and what that means. So, one of the many ways to ground is to attract whatever you want to attract. Things like, you're feeling stuck, or you're feeling disconnected, or you're feeling like there is no way out of a situation. A lot of times it's not an output, it's an input. It's an external event that you need to change in yourself. And we forget that because we think we have to do and do and do and do and show up and be willing, and all that is perfect and great. But that more of that is done inside because you're creating the reality. You're creating the experience. And so with that, what you need to do is change your personal experience inside you. And one of the things that it's important to do is that when we're, creating this octave is to ground ourselves. And grounding yourself means that you learn to dissolve a lot of your personal energies that get stuck to your field. For a lot of people who are feelers, right? They get caught up. Yeah, I know it's you. Feelers that get caught up on other people's ideas, issues, things going on in other people's lives. Even empathic people have a tendency to pick up on things, even in an environment, a home, especially if there was a death or a loss, and they have a tendency to pick up on that stuff and soak it in until you realize and how to filter those things in your body. It's important to really learn how to ground, because grounding helps you to regulate your personal frequency and vibration to where you want it. I want to be able to choose what I'm pulling into myself. I want to be able to choose the emotions that are coming into me. I want to be able to choose how to handle certain situations in my life and not let myself just be an open book and allow everything to stick to me like those flight tapes you see hanging in the kitchen sometimes. So
That's a fun analogy. Yeah.
yeah, I have a lot of those. Anyways, okay. So without further ado, what we're going to do is that this morning I had this is where the weird part of myself comes out, so bear with me. This morning I had a Lemurian star come into I've been teaching Lemurian magic and Lemurian connection to two people. We have a retreat happening from the 1st to the 5th of June this year. And a friend of mine from Hawaii is coming out here to join me, and we're doing this together. And we do it every year. I do it here, and then we go back to Hawaii in February and have retreats out there as well. So Mount Shasta is the focal point for a lot of people. Lemurians are connected to the Palladian and the mountain, and they're connected to the Hawaii bandwidth as well. So there's always this connection between the two. And so this morning, when I asked my high self, well, what would you like for me to bring forward today? They put a Lemurian star in my crown chakra. And what it did was that it amplified all my chakras. It went into my third eye, my throat chakra, my heart, spleen, solar plexus, spleen, and first chakra. And what that means is that it unveils every chakra in our body. There's all different aspects of the chakras. But because I teach energy mastery and different fundamentals of the energy body, it's the chakras have more than what you see. The chakras have a spirit and an octave. Each of those chakras has an octave. They're giving off a display of energy that you feed it. And whatever your high self is determined to place in you, that you learn what your mission is, what you're being called to do, where you're being called to do, what people you're trying to attract or are attracting. It is like an antenna of intense manifestation. And so when they put the star down in my crown, automatically, bing, 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 all of them had like they turned on like Christmas lights, you know, and then they showed the three different layers of the chakra. The middle layer, the center is the octave. The outer layer is the manifester. The outer layer of that is the skin or the light body of your mission, your karma, your lessons, your forward motion. And with all of them connected at once, it projects an imagery out into the world, like you go to the movie theater and then the projector sends it onto the picture and you see the show. Same thing. And so it's coming out from our body, frontwards and around us. So the way to do that this morning for each of you or any of you that would want to manifest something completely different, one of the things that people need to realize and to understand is that your thoughts are a magnitude mixed in with your mission and the light of the creator, of your higher self, your higher dimensions, automatically manifest 10 times. So a lot of us, what we do is we hold back. We want this, but we don't really want it. We want to do this, but that's too much responsibility. I want this, but that's just way too much. You know, that's just overwhelming. But so we need to get out of that. Stop minimizing your thoughts, your manifestation. Stop minimizing yourself into the world. Let yourself have everything. Just do it all. It will manifest and align for you once you get it into your octave. When your octave is activating those realities, you automatically start to get in alignment with it, and it's in perfect sequence for you. And the object is to flow and not to be in force. When you're in flow of the universe, and there's no more pushing. And so it's important to really recognize, not to feel like you're never going to get what you're asking for. You're wishing for things, but you're holding back to those wishes. You're minimizing your attempt to make these things true for yourself. So, what we do for that is that we put right here, we put a symbol. And because we're working with Lemurian energy, we would put like a six-pointed star there with 6 points in your third eye. And then you would put the same symbolism as your chakra, the 3 points, the center octave, the outer shell, the spirit of the chakra, and then the manifestation light. And so whenever you put anything on your crown chakra, it sends out a beacon. And that beacon starts with the body first and then goes out. So the human being, is the center, is the octave. The energy, your spirit, is the octave that sends out. And then the energy from beyond that is the energy that you're getting help from. You're receiving the energy of your higher self into your body, and it goes out of you. So take a moment right now and just close your eyes and just let everything go. You know, whatever is coming in, whatever is going out, whatever you're facing, whatever is coming through, whatever challenges you're facing, you know, just kind of close your eyes and let yourself be in your body and just land, be present with yourself. This is important. And so when you close your eyes, to the best of your ability, look into your third eye in your forehead and look at this beautiful three layer of light star. And the center of the star is beautiful, brilliant white light. And then outside from that is a pink light from there, and it shines in that star. And then from there is like a lavender purple. Okay. And then outside of the star is a beautiful white light, another white light. And that's the connection or the antenna. And so when you look at that beautiful star in your mind's eye, we automatically, from the Lemurians and the technology that we know, we automatically send the star of the Lemurian star into your crown chakra. It's like you can't have one without the other. So as soon as you look at that star, that other star will appear on your crown chakra. And as that energy comes in, just let it happen. Be in the flow. Let yourself open up your mind, open up your spirit, open up your soul, Open up your love and let that light of that Lemurian energy come straight into your third eye and activate the octave, activate the octave in your third eye. I meshed those words together. And then bring the energy into your throat chakra and just let it go all the way down your chest, your solar plexus, your spleen chakra, and your first chakra, to where you feel them actually illuminating within the body. And the body seems to want to disappear because your spirit is being activated. Okay. And then now you're going to do the best you can. This isn't a test. This is just an offering to you, in hopes that you receive what the universe has planned for you. And so you ask for white light to come from source, from your higher self. You ask for white light to come down into the star of the Lemurian star in your crown chakra, which is also amplifying out of that crown chakra. It's mixed with it, intertwined with it, and you bring the light directly into your crown chakra, and it automatically lights up a silhouette of white light around your body. As that light comes in, you're going to create a dialogue with that light and say, I'm asking this light to come into my empathic emotional field and dissolve all the debris that I've picked up on. Or if you are more psychic or a seer, or you don't know anything about yourself and your power and your abilities, you simply ask the light to scan your body for impurities or energies not in alignment with your holy self. Don't be afraid to say that word, holy, because we all have that energy, that beautiful spirit that we were created with, and send that light through your body. And then you slowly bring some of that light down your spine like a river. And this is where it gets really good. You visualize the light transforming its structure into a river of white light. And one of the things that you can do is go back in time, or a time that you were at a waterfall, or you were at a river, or you're at the ocean or a stream, and you just see that light coming down in that form, going down your spine, cleansing with that salt water or that fresh water down your spine. And you're activating the light with your visualization and intention down your spine to clear any negative energies inside the spine, all the way down your back, behind your heart, behind your solar plexus, behind your tummy, and then all the way down, and going and pouring its love and light into your first chakra. The first chakra is the base of your spine, or your tailbone spine, and that will automatically begin to activate and dissolve the energies in your whole body, your light body, your astral body, your emotional body, and so forth. And so once you get to this point of your first chakra, just breathe. Breathe into that first chakra, into your nose, out of your mouth, into that, and you're visualizing like a spiral of light beginning to erupt out of the first chakra, and then turn it into fire in your mind's eye. In your mind's eye means that you're looking within, changing the look of that visualization. You're changing it from a vortex of light into a white light fire. And then you want to, out of that fire, imagine a tree coming out of that fire. First visualize and see the trunk coming out of that tree with branches stretched out inside your body. And when you visualize something like this, it automatically starts to amplify and illuminate yourself within. And at the same time, visualize and see root systems coming out of the bottom of the tree, out of the bottom of that fire, going down your legs, all the way down into the earth. Strong, beautiful, big, intense root system coming out of your legs, pushing you into the earth, feeling all the different minerals and nutrients of the earth as your root system goes down deep, pushing past rocks, sand, mud, and the different textures of earth, going down deep where you can feel the different layers of energy, of warmth, of coolness as it travels down into the earth, really, really grounding in every direction, this root system. And at the same time, in the center of the planet, there's the heart chakra of Mother Earth that we're going to call upon today. And we're going to ask for Mother Earth to send back up a beautiful electric blue energy into our root system and draw that energy into our base of our spine, the fire of white light from which the tree grows from. And then bring that blue energy from the earth into your first chakra. And it will explode into a plethora of light embodiment to come out of that firelight and shine like petals of color around our body in our auric field. And this is where it gets good. When you bring this light around yourself, it will feel like you're being placed in a cocoon of white light and colors around you, clearing up all the energies of your past, present, and future. And this is where you begin to change your octave. When you place this light around you, you're creating the light embodiment from your octave out into the world. So as that color comes around you, this is where you manifest. You look at your day, look about what the things you're struggling with, and everything that is hard for you or negative for you or a challenge for you, it automatically goes into the layers of color around your body and starts to extract it from your emotional body that blocks a lot of our manifestations. So when you put all that light into the layers of color around you, your auric field becomes the video or the projector of what you want to experience in the world. So at this time, think about your love. What do you love? What is your love attracted to? What is your love attached to? What does your love want to manifest? What kind of success do you want to create in the world? What do you want to experience? You want to experience passion, prosperity. You want to experience a love, a connection with people on a different level, to be heard, to be seen, to be felt, for you to be easy to drop your walls and let your heart shine and be accepted by that. You know, what is it that you really claim yourself that you want? And whatever challenges or lessons or blockages that come with that will automatically go into the work field to be transmuted. And now everything, you're feeding that fire around you with your doubt, with your fears, and everything is being diluted and dissolved as the energy travels up into your Lemurian crystal star in your crown chakra. And so you just feel that energy. And when you begin to soften yourself, which means to let everything that you're wanting in your life and that you're contesting or feeling doubts or feeling insecurities about start to fade, you automatically start to feel more relaxed, more grounded, more present. And that's the true octave. That is the true opening of your heart when you go and get into that place of just allowing the flow to occur. And I'll take this a little further. I will ask for uh, Archangel Tripixis. You probably never heard of this, but his name is Archangel Tripixis. And I'm going to ask Archangel Tripixis to come in and illuminate the star and the chakras in your body to amplify. So, Archangel Tripixis, would you please come into the high self, all the people here listening here today, to amplify and illuminate their energy bodies into the world and amplify their manifestations to a higher grid level and allowing them to feel the magnitude of their inner light out into the world. So let it be. And so as you close your eyes, you're going to feel like an umbrella of white light coming over you, shining down and pouring like just a tremendous downpour of white light into your body. And however Archangel Tripixis wants to deliver that for you. And he's the angel of illumination. And everything seems to just disappear and everything's just a curtain of white light around you. And it's just to flush everything down into your grounding cord. And just let yourself glow for a little bit. Let yourself feel that glow. Thank you, Archangel Tripixis, for that beautiful illumination exercise. Matakyasan. Pretty cool, eh?
Oh my gosh. You did say go full in. You said at the beginning, you said to show up and give it all. And you've given more than just grounding to center. What I experienced was, first of all, thank you for the explanation at the beginning, right? Where we go into the explanation, the octave, and then the 3 layers, and then the light. And I love the synchronicity with the Lemurian, of course, and your wisdom in the share. And what I personally experienced was I'm grounding myself, and at the same time, I'm allowing myself to see the things that are not necessarily comfortable, the yucky stuff, and transmuting at the same time to the light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's not just, hey, let me ground myself, let me get into my heart. It's also all that is uncomfortable. The particles are not really for my higher self or my highest journey for the day or for the time to come, for the things that I wanted to experience. So one of them for me is experiencing peace and harmony in relationships, personal ones like family, parents, things of that nature. Being home is bringing forth a lot for me. That is from 30 years of being away. It's kind of back awakening me. So that moment allowed me to see and experience all that yucky stuff to be brought to the light, to be flushed. Right. So it's the grounding, the flushing. It's like doing more than one thing at one time. I mean, there's a sequence in the way you explained it and you went through it. And I did feel like my body relaxing, the light expanding, because I'm also sensitive to the energy as far as the feeling of it is clairsentience. So it was expanding, right, and centering. Now I had never heard of Archangel. What is it?
Tripixis.
Tripixis,
Yeah,
which
Archangel.
is
He's actually a star angel.
Okay.
He's a star. He comes in as a silver, beautiful star. And it's not, he's not
The
a cookie
stars, yeah.
cutter star. He's a star that moves, and he I met him yesterday. Uh, one of my students, she's taking a defense class, defense against the dark arts class, and um, he came in because she's been feeling him, but she didn't know his name, and so we did a meditation to introduce him. And once that student goes, "Oh my gosh, yes, it's you," that matches the love that he sends to her to the face, it just like it brings everything together. And so she was able to have that experience yesterday. And one of the things that I love about the guides and the masters that come through, and there are a lot, and they're there in their own world, seeking out those who are ready to step forward into their evolution and ascension processes,
Right.
is that they help us to illuminate our human mindsets to clear those bounties that we think that we are. Whatever your parents brought you up to be, we think that's what we are. But no, we're a completely different being, and the shadow work and the light work that we help to remove and reclaim is part of that, because a lot of that darkness is attached to the disbelief of God, the disbelief of connection, the disbelief of the light. And when you're in belief or you're in the faith of it, everything starts to shift into that different vibration. And vibration just means your everything all the words, all the experiences, all in one that shines out from you. That's a vibration. I tend to attract students who are ready to take that next step, ready and not so much. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but not the looky-loos or the window shoppers, and they're just curious. No, I like to work with people who are already on the path and who want to open themselves up to a whole other world. I have learned over the years so many different so many different lengths of awarenesses that it's unbelievable. Sometimes when the beginning, when I was bringing and channeling the stuff through, I thought I was making this stuff up. I was like, really, this is really what you want me? And the voices that come through me are very charming. Like Merlin, he's very, very, he can be inappropriate, but at the same time, he has wisdom behind his words that I can feel in my body. And I know that, wherever he's coming from is exactly what I need to hear in that moment. And so, a lot of my guides, Mother Mary, Master Kuthumi, even Jesus Christ, have a very beautiful way of expressing themselves in a very gentle way. And so because we put so many different guides on pedestals, we have like, oh, it's so and so, it must be true, and that's not always what it is. When a guide comes in with love first, it challenges you to look at yourself. What are you holding on to? What is your issue? Why are you in your own way? And a lot of things that happens for people is that they're programmed to believe a certain way, a belief system, religion, upbringing, schools, jobs, and we get counterproductive. We don't really move towards something awakening. We find ourselves stuck in a world that we've created by everyone else's input, and once you have that experience of connection with these beings of light, it changes you. And there's no way of going back to what you were because that doesn't even exist anymore. It's just gone. There's no way I'm going to go back to what I was before I learned all this. No way. And the thing is that the more light that comes into your life, the awareness that comes to your life, you start to recognize that every lifetime you never started at the beginning. You start at where you left off over and over again. So when they say you're an old soul, in the beginning, when I heard that word, I was an old soul when I was 18. I was like, what is that? But then I recognized that I knew things that I didn't know how I knew them. And I started to just accept that fact. But I will tell you, at that time, that chapter, I had a huge ego. Oh my gosh, I was terrible. I was not, I didn't like me because I was just doing things to make a point because at that time, my vibration was lost. I didn't know who my birth parents was. I didn't know any of that. And there were so many holes to be filled in me that I did it the wrong way. At the same time, working towards the light, it just I wasn't who I am today. And so I can look back and just understand, yeah, I was not a nice person. I should have done this, but it was par for the course. It's just where we began. It's just the lessons that we learned from. And at least I don't have to go back there and do it again next lifetime because I know I finished it. I
Very
don't have
well.
to go
Yeah.
and redo that. So anyways, that's kind of what, this whole thing does to us is that when we bring something like the energy of Tripixis into our field like that, he will help you embody all the soul structures that have been missing. The amplification is bringing out the beautiful nutrients and love and light out of your body. Whatever you ground into the earth is what comes out of your octave. And all that grounding helps you to see and become accountable for the energies and issues that you carry. And that's kind of like where I'm at now. I work on myself constantly. I work on myself constantly, and even the people around in my life, it's one of they're asking me to say this to you on this radio on the station.
Uh-oh.
It Yeah, they're asking me to say that it's important for you to honor yourselves. It's important that no matter how many people you find in your life that you want to keep with you, it's not important or it's not mandatory to take them into your future. And some people you can't do that with. You got to let them go. You got to let those people go. You have to move on. You have to follow your own mission. And a lot of us have a tendency to get stuck in toxicity. We don't want to let go of these people because we care about them. but we don't like who they are. We don't like what they're doing, and we stay with them anyways, and that's our stuck point. And the more that you go on into your life and let those people go, the bigger reflection that you put into the world. You're helping that person look at themselves, and I have a tendency to pull my energy back from people I don't want to have integration with, or I don't want to have a connection with. And right away they go, "Why are you mad at me? How come I?" And it's like they can feel it. As soon as you start draining that connection, they can feel it. You're disappearing from their awareness. And that's what it's come to now, because we have around the planet, there is a constant vibration on the collective that we can use telepathy with. And that telepathy, sometimes people can hear us. They can hear our thoughts. We can hear their thoughts. But we don't know anything
Because
about
hold
that.
on one second, Matthew, because I want to say something right there. Because
Uh-huh.
um, FYI, because I haven't asked Matthew so many questions. So by the way, I have actually been doing telepathy in this container right now. I have a question, and he talks about Jesus, and he brings
Mhm.
forth, the messages like I talked about inner child. In my mind, it's like we're gonna get, and he actually covers it. So even though in this moment of this exchange with Matthew, you haven't heard me as much, but I have been present and communicating. At least I have experienced where Matthew shares like the points that I actually would love to hear about. So I just love that because it's also a practice for me. Like you said, the student and teacher exchange, you are still like your student yesterday. The archangel that showed up. Like as you're connecting with others, things come up and allow for your growth and the student, vice versa. So just want to say that because you used the word telepathy, and I said I am using telepathy for me to communicate with Matthew to really bring forth the things that are on my mind in this co-creation. So just wanted to say that. So I don't know if you can follow through what you were saying, but I just wanted to place that word there because I've been smiling inside, like, yep, yep, without asking the questions out loud. So thank you. Keep going.
Yeah. And so there is an energy around the planet that is full of ascension. And because we're human, we end up giving small words to big aspects of God, the big aspects of the light, and we minimize a lot of that because it's a natural capability that we all have. Way back when I first started having ceremony and sweat lodges, when I was living in Santa Cruz and back in the early 90s, I met this medicine man. His name was Keith Pache. He's a Lakota from Canada. And he was what we call Wichashawakan, or he is a Yuipi man. And Yuipi men have the ability to walk between worlds, to be able to be in the dark side and the light side at the same time, but stay in the neutral zone. And he started to talk to me at a very early age. I was in my 20s, 28, and he started talking to me about, witches and how to remove witches. And I was like, why is he telling me all this stuff? This is not something I want to know about. But then he started explaining how that they don't like four-leggeds and just and I just listened. I listened the whole time, and we're getting ready to go in ceremony. And as he was talking, his whole octave around his body changed from him to a beautiful blue. I mean, his light became so beautiful blue that I could tell that he was channeling. It was coming through him. So whatever he was saying to me was not the human, it was the spirit. And then he started to tell me, did you know that way back in the 1800s, we were able to go in sweat lodge, pray, sing, and then come out as animals, run as a deer, as a buck, fly out as an eagle out of the lodge because the energy was so pristine and unfiltered at that time that we can put our mind to anything and become that embodiment. He says over the years, over the generations, it's kind of filtered through. Everyone has their own take on things. They have changed the way the ceremony goes. It's not its purest form anymore. So it's now something else. But that energy is still there. So
I finally was
when
talking
I
about that last night. We were talking about that last night where they were asking it was my dad's birthday, so we have my dad, his brother, and his sister. So my brother asked a question and said, "Do you believe in basically people changing forms?" And I was surprised to hear them actually, yes, because I had never really had this conversation with family members. So it's interesting you bring that up, that people were able to naturally do that. Um, and it came in conversation yesterday about that. So they do believe it does happen, changing into dogs, animals.
yeah, that's a thing, and energy transformation is not so much the act of. Now it has changed into feeling the animals of earth, learning what the deer want, learning what bear wants, learning with the different beings, the different buffalo, and we're learning how to speak their language. And in all different faces of beings on the planet, when you learn to transpire or embody telepathy, it is much more than just hearing thoughts. You're feeling the vibration of creation. You're feeling the vibration of teleport, of doorways that open up in the world. There was this place here in Mount Shasta that is no longer open to the public, but it was called Stewart Mineral Springs. And way back when they were open to the public, that was a very magical place. I mean, we had a sweat lodge right there on the land. And my adopted dad used to run that. He's a Kuruk Indian again. And he used to run that lodge with another Supan is the word for teacher, and Supan Charlie Tom used to run that lodge as well, and he crossed over in 2013. But his energy, his spirit still lingers here, and in that place, very magical. Spirits would walk through walls, birds and animals would fly out of. There was a river that went down, and people would go and soak into the mineral springs, and then they'd jump into the river. And sometimes when you're sitting out there after your soak, you'll see little birds flying out of nothingness. They'll come out of nothing. There's like a layer of consciousness on top of the river that they would fly out. Sometimes you would be sitting down looking at your feet and there'd be nothing there. You wake up and there's a stone sitting between your feet because the stone rolled there for you. And in that beginning, I had a huge medicine bag I used to wear. And my intention, my octave, was to search and find things that was my medicine. And so things would show up, feathers would show up, a stone would show up. So I just put everything in there without question because I knew they were for me. And the more you pay attention to the signals of what spirit is bringing to you, the more that comes to you because that's your octave. So all these different aspects of awarenesses is inside of us. And for me, Mount Shasta called me here because this is one of my power spots. This is where I have been activated. This is my soul hub home where everything comes together. When I first moved here, I met ETs, little people, little friggin' guys with like they looked like they had a frog head, big old belly, big old hands, and they were like 3 feet high, and they were hanging out up here at there's a place called there's a lake above Siskiyou Lake. Oh man, I can't think of it right now, but there's a lake up there, and it freezes over every year. And like the first 6 months I was living here, I was driving up there with my dog, and he had his head right here on my shoulder. And whenever he has to pee, he'll put his chin on my shoulder, like, "Hey, I got to go." And then he was salivating, and I'm looking. I go, "Hey, come on, Bernie," was his name. I go, "Bernie, come on, don't be slobbering all over me." And I look over, and he was like looking fixated on something on the side of the road. And I slowed down, and sure enough, there was this yellow. I thought it was a doll, a 3 foot doll. I go, "Man, what a friggin' ugly little doll. Who would put that?" And then it just looked at me like it heard me. And it's shocking. And he looked at me, and then he started running across the road like this, his arms frailing, going up and down, running across the street. and into the ferns. And I saw his little head moving all the way through I couldn't, my mind could not wrap around what I was looking at. I was like chicken, rabbit, yellow thing. I don't know what this is. And I I was in shock. Like I didn't know what to say or feel. And that was just the first time. I've had visitations with fairies. I've had pictures of fairies. They would just show up in the lenses of my camera. And I couldn't see them with the naked eye, but I could feel them. So once in a while, when I go up to and this is for all of you listening, if you ever come to Mount Shasta, this is just, I'm just letting you know, these are not rules, but this is just a suggestion for you. And you want to know more about the land. You want to be able to feel the octave of this land. You want to dive into this world. Well, first of all, you have to leave all your city stuff out, which means you take the moment before you come up to our mountain, you sage yourself down, just a little bit of sweetgrass or sage or white sage. They have a store here, Soul Connections, and you can get anything you need there. And you sage yourself off with the intention of being able to see within the worlds here. And when you get to the mountain, sit quietly. Try to get away from people and get and find a rock and just listen to the land and just focus on your octave. And when you do that, you'll reclaim your octave will become the doorway of clearing all the debris and all the illusion from your mindset, and you'll start to feel that connection with Mount Shasta and what Mount Shasta brings. And in that way, you'll feel things. And so a lot of people come up here, I know, me too, come up here and get stones because the stones that are on Mount Shasta are lava stones or they're silver stones. And we take them and we take them down and put them in our sweat lodges. A lot of people come up and gather the sage or they gather the buckbrush or they gather just different medicines from Mount Shasta. Take, and it's important to give something back. So whenever I go to the mountain, there's an exchange. When you're sitting quietly, I'll sit there and I'll sing a song on my drum. I'll just sing a song, loud, find a place by myself. And then lo and behold, someone's always hooping and hollering from a distance, or someone comes and tries to find out who's doing that singing. I just keep going because I know my octave is about my sharing and the mountain loves my songs. So I'll sit there and I'll just sing loud with my drum. And a lot of times a whirlwind will just come out of nowhere and greet me, because they know me. I've been here 20 years. And so I give back, get a piece of my hair, put it on the ground or some tobacco and put a prayer down and say thank you to the mountain for honoring us, for being this beautiful energy temple, this altar of light that is in the center of California, sending its energy. Uncle Charlie used to go up there and we used to have sweat lodges and we used to pray on the mountain, sending everything out into the world. He would say, we're walking backwards into the future. And walking backwards into the future means that we're gathering our medicine and bringing it forward. So back to Keith Pache, everything that he taught me and talked about is still happening today, and there was a reason for that. Every time an Indian speaks to you, there's a reason for it. And so I met a lot. I met Keith Pache, and he was a powerful medicine man who gave me my name. We had a ceremony. I paid him with a blanket and a little bit of money and just offering him feathers and things in exchange. It's called Wupila for my name. And he got my name in a ceremony, in a Uipi ceremony. Spirit came down in a lightning bolt. And he says, Joaquin Mato, your name is Joaquin Mato. It means lightning bearer. So I took that name. And whenever someone receives a name from this culture or from a ceremony, it's not so much the name that is so important as living up to that name. If you're getting a great name, you got to live up to that name. That means humility, sincerity, love, respect. You're honoring that exchange. And the Wupila continues to happen. The Wupila is the gratitude, the thank you, the immense thanks for this. And sometimes our names, our visions continue to live throughout our life, continuously teaching us about that. So when I met Keith Pache, he brought that into my life. I learned about the Uipi ceremony, the interpreter spirit, how spirits come into a dark room and doctor people. Also, I met right after that. I met, or before that, before I moved to, no, I think it was the same time. I met Wallace Black Elk. He was another medicine man. Uh, he uh, he and a bunch of other activists from AIM walked up on Mount Rushmore and did a walk from there. And he was part of that. It was a huge crusade that they brought through. Bringing activists, and wanting freedom and and helping to reclaim the power of the people. And he was one of those people who did that. And a lot of those guys are gone, but he was an amazing teacher. And the way he remembers me is that I dropped a burning stone on his towel, and I know I burned a big old hole into it. And I picked up the stone because I was carrying stones for him during ceremony, because he likes to sit and just talk. And he told me some beautiful stories. When I burned his towel, he goes, "Hey, you burned my towel," and I said, "Well, at least you won't forget me. I'm the one that burned your towel." So, and I used to tell him jokes because I loved the way he would laugh and his teeth would fall out. So, and it was just one of those things that I love to do, make other people laugh. And he used to tell me stories about, oh, I used to go to the Stanford College and I turned a tree on fire and then, and I pulled the fire off and started again, because he says the white people really love that because they love magic. And then he would tell me about going into the pyramids in Egypt, and then the spirits would come out of the walls, and just like stuff like that. But just like natural conversation. We weren't
Hmm.
talking about the news, or we are talking about, the weather. He was just automatically talking about spirits and how the spirits do this and spirits do that. And so, as where I am now, I completely understand all that. I understand where that conversation was coming from because I'm experiencing a lot of that now. And so I've had a lot of teachers over the years. Kenny Farmer was another one. He adopted me, and when I first started sun dancing back in the early 90s. I danced for 14 years as a sun dancer, and I was a helper for 22 years. Singer and provider, and I used to do the massage there, and I was out there helping people hook up to the tree, and just all those things I learned over the period of time. It just really broadens your octave. I having compassion for people who are struggling. And one of the things that is another thing that's important in this timeline right now is to learn to look past people's presentations. Someone who is suffering and pissed off at you, there's a suffering behind that. And it's important to look behind the presentation of that person and see exactly where the core issue is in that person. And once you find that core issue, is like you're recognizing it. And anytime you recognize a fearful or a part of them that maybe they were had trauma since they were very young, and as adults we have a tendency to find good ways to hide that stuff, and then we end up acting out or getting triggered later on in life and hurting people. And so once you understand where that core comes from in a person, you dissolve it for them. You automatically start putting them on the path because your octave is doing that. It's creating that manifestation for that person. So if you
I have
say
a question
something,
though, Matthew, on
go
that
ahead.
though. I have a question because from what you just shared with, okay, there's a message that they really want me to say, which is to not stay in toxic relationships, even though we may want to, because we're so close to them, we love them. So how much of that energy of inner energy to actually help dissolve that for someone else? Because that can become a mission that can be, I'm not gonna say depleting, but it's like, how do you know, okay, this is something I get to do for someone, even though I don't necessarily care for being in their environment, because I can see beyond the front that they're providing and the
Mm-hmm.
core, like you just shared.
Yeah,
How do you discern when you do that for someone, or how long?
I'm glad you asked that. So, when you're like the meditation we did a little while ago, the grounding, and you feel all that illumination, when you feel your allies behind you working with you, saying things like they're saying to me right now, Can you tell I'm jumping from subject to subject because they all want to say something. And so I'm here, being as that mouthpiece to say these things. And so everything they're coming through with is what they want the people to know about. And a lot of times when you have those kinds of allies that you trust, that are always in your corner, and you start trusting what they say and things start happening in your life that you can't explain, you can't go back to where you were. And it's a movement forward, constantly moving forward with explanation that you can't explain, but it happens. Wouldn't it be great if you could look past someone's energy presentation and clear what their suffering is? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Put that in your octave. And it happens because you're
Mm.
creating the reality. How do we forgive our mothers? How do we forgive our fathers? How do we forgive the people who hurt us? What does that do to us? What does it feel like to continue to hate blacks, whites, reds, purples, greens, blues? Where does that put us? What is the difference between no and yes? Yes is a free flowing energy of being open. No is a block. So when we learn to forgive in ourselves, we create an octave of love that continues to flow no matter whatever is coming at us. So as humans, we see people, good, bad, black, white. We don't see the soul. We don't say, "Hey, you have a beautiful soul today. Wow, let's look at you." Let's put some color on our bodies to expose that octave and the colors of our soul into the world. No, we look at everything as color, as sexual preference, as rich or power, or rich or poor. We look at things so,
Polarities.
humanly,
Hmm.
humanless, and we don't look at a soul or a spirit or where they've been, what they struggled with their timelines, and where they are in this lifetime. We're always looking at a person as we were raised to look at, and not so much about how God looks through our eyes, how we can look through that energy of God's eyes. So imagine a world where we live in and everyone was connected through love, through a connection of love. Everything else would die away. Just like when we opened up our octave and we activated our chakras, the body faded away because we were focused on the spirit. And so when we're focused on the spirit in the world, the body and the physical fade away and only the truth exists. So when the truth exists and it's a connection to you, you visualize your wishes, even if you feel like they would never come true. You look at your wishes, look at your manifestation of how do you want to see the world to become. And I am a prime example of that. I never thought in a million years I would find my birth parents. There was just no way. I had a shred of paper that said, your mom was dark, your dad was dark, and you had a brother from a previous relationship. That's it. I didn't have any other information, you know? And as I continued to search, I started to find, I started to have these experiences,
Because
you
your
know?
octave is a searcher, seeker.
Yes. And that's what I created my altar to become. So, when we're in the world, and I'm just one person. There are many like me who feel the same. And it's been my mission to have students to become teachers. And so I've created a school called the Ambassadors of Light. It has nothing to do with religion. This is about a spiritual connection.
Hmm.
And the more that I can help to infuse and support people's abilities to become more of a spirit person and see the world as God sees through them, their own personal, we're all different snowflakes. We all come in different styles and, and different smells and different octaves, but we're all here to share an experience with the planet. And the more people that we can help and touch, the more people we can activate, to where they feel their sequence, their spirit, you know, becoming something other than what they've known. They've already shifted everything around them just by that realization, you know. And then moving forward on that, it depends on how far down the rabbit hole they want to go. I teach from
Definitely
mediumship,
is a rabbit
spirit
hole.
rescue, to telepathy. I teach how to summon the light. I teach how to connect energy transference, how to transfer your energy into someone else's from any distance, any vibration, from their voice, from a letter, from words, from colors. You know, because I was born a seer at a very young age, I've had these gifts. You know, and so they just continue to develop even in my almost 60s. I'm 59. So it's and it keeps you young. It keeps you young. I am so immature, but that's okay. You know, I'm like a little kid in a man's
Immature with
body.
wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm just joshing, but I have a lot of innocence that I work with. You know, I love my inner child, Jacob. And you know, so there's just a lot, you know, in our chapters of life and how we develop them. But yeah, that's pretty much what the channel today, the transmission wanted me to bring through. So if anyone's interested, I do have a school online. It's called Ambassadors of Light. You can find my website at matthewsbueno.com, and can read about me and what I do and some of the courses I teach. And I'm here to provide those insights and those transmissions, and teach people how to get their own allies and use those resources to help them, to better them, and to help the people around us to see past what the presentation of Earth is. You know, and people always ask me, well, what do you think about the president? What do you think about? I'm not in that world. My world is my mission. My mission is what I bring to the planet. If I get outside that and I start doing other things, I'll lose track of what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I stay within the rhythms of my vibration, you know, and continue to work because I'm here for that. I'm here for that. And we all have different missions that we're here to create and complete in this lifetime. And I don't want to come back and do this again. I want to move on from this. And so I focus on that, you know, and I help people in the sweat lodge, and I help people in teaching and healing and everything else. And I do the work that no one else wants to do. You know, I help to remove demonic energies and help spirits travel back home. I talk to the spirits that left their body too soon and pass on messages to their family. You know, and whatever God wants me to do, I'm there. You know, and that's kind of how I roll. I follow whatever comes to me and I check in with myself. Is this something I can do? Is something you want me to do? And I'll gather my team together, you know, and there's a lot more that I can say, but I don't want to go
Yeah.
too far off track. But this is kind of what is coming through for me today and for you and for all those
Definitely.
listening, you know, and I just want to say that I'm grateful to be here today to be able to express myself. And for Kristel, she's come a long ways. Your energy is so much shifted and changed, you know, and you keep moving all over my screen, but it's okay, I guess. And
Yes, it's okay.
so,
Making sure
yeah.
your octave is just really keeping you on track. No, it's good. I mean, I'm super grateful for, I would say, the relationship that I've gained through our course together, your mentorship in medium. I don't remember if it was called mediumship or channeling, but it's one of those two. And relationship with Mother Mary, relationship with Jesus Christ. But really, I would say for me, in this season of my life, I've been bringing forth Mother Mary. Like, I need you right now. It's like Holy Spirit. It's like, although you've spoken about Lemurian spirits and all those, there is also that aspect that people know through religion of the names like Mother Mary, the nurturing mother, the Jesus Christ, and those teachers. And I love that about you because it's not about just aliens, it's also those that I grew up with knowing, but in a different light, a different feel, a different energy, feeling their presence. Like I've woken up this week and I'm like, can you enfold me, engulf me with your energy? with your field, with your love. So being able to have a direct relationship that is connected with a spirit, with a guide, but also with my own energy. You've been a catalyst in that. So I want to say thank you so much for
Yeah.
that journey in 2025 that I did with you.
Yeah. 2025. Yeah.
Um, yeah, 2025. And also attended the specials, not necessarily the one that Matthew was at, but within same community. So I love all that you share because it's also brought me back to my time in Mount Shasta of the experiences that I've had. And it's just it's amazing. So if this resonated with you, I would say check out Matthew's website. If you're in Mount Shasta, definitely connect with
Yeah.
Matthew. He's an open guy, such a big heart. I mean, lighting bear. So a bear, it's like a in
Big.
person, a bear. It's not necessarily something we want to connect with, and it's like fear, but don't be afraid. He's
Yeah.
tall.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
super tall and I'm super
I'm a
short. So
tower.
you
Yeah.
feel you'll feel that energy. But it's such I was gonna say yummy, but yummy in the sense of like the wisdom that you heard, the innocence at the same time, but just really the giver. And thank you.
Yeah.
Really grateful.
One last
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Jesus is saying something that, and I think it's important too, is that, when I was talking about putting allies or spirits because we've built them up to be a certain way. Jesus, when I met Jesus for the first time, I met him 3 times in my lifetime. Uh, and he came to me the first time as a child, as a little boy. And him and Peter and Mary and John the Baptist all tackled me and were tickling me until I almost peed in my meditation. And that when I was little and that happened to me, when my uncle did, it just pissed me off. I hated that feeling of no control. But the way they did it to me is like it was a happy reunion. And they kept calling me Bartholomew. Bartholomew this, Bartholomew that. And I said, who is Bartholomew? Who's this Bartholomew? And so I looked at my Jesus told me, he goes, go ask your dad. And so I went home and asked my dad. I go, who's Bartholomew? He goes, oh, because he's a Catholic. He's really Catholic, and he went in the Bible. He goes, oh, he was one of the recognized. He was the unrecognized disciples of Jesus. Holy mackerel! So right away, lightning bear, Bartholomew, all these names, these things. Jesus told me, he goes, that's what you were. You were Bartholomew. Now you're Matthew Lightning Bear. Live up to that name. And one of my clients, she was telling when I was working on her, she said that she doesn't want to hear anything about the Jesus or Mary because as a Baptist, her father was a preacher and just shoved that down her throat ever since she was really, really small. And she hated the name Jesus. And so when I was working on her, I called in every time I work on somebody, I call in the allies who wants to come and help work on this person. And so they all came in, Mother Mary, Master Katumi, Merlin, Archangel Raphael, Cintiel, and they all were coming in, all flooding into my doorway. And then I saw this guy coming in and he ducked down. I said, hey, who is that? And he looked up, he had his shroud. He goes, it's Bob. I go, Bob? Jesus, why are you calling yourself Bob? He goes, don't ask me why, just because she doesn't agree with who I am. And so when I was bringing them all in, and I named him at the very last, and I said, and Mother Mary, and there's Bob. And she goes, Bob? I said, yeah. And she felt his love right away. She goes, you mean Jesus, don't you? I said, yeah, but he says to call him Bob because you have an issue with the Catholic name of Jesus Christ. She goes, no, I do. And she started crying. And he just shined his love around her. And he touched her heart as he would put his hand on a child. And she just broke down. And she didn't think of his name. She didn't think of his pedestal. She didn't think of the greatness. All she could focus on was the love in her heart as a man or a beautiful person would touch a child's heart. And that's all she focused on from that point on. And that changed her. Now that she calls him in, she calls him Bob, which is good because that's what he's going by right now. And when he touched her heart that way, it was a beautiful. I got to witness something that I've never seen before. Someone who was just incapable of calling in the word Jesus or the name Jesus because of all the programming over that timeline of her. And when he broke through that with his tenderness, it just changed her whole facade. You know, her whole light changed and shifted because she let love in through the feeling of a child. And so when Jesus came to me as a child, he also taught that God is a child. God is innocence. And so when we meet our inner child, we're meeting our inner God, our inner light, our inner love. And that's where it all stems from, the innocence. So I wanted to
Our
share that last part
our
with you.
innocence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
know that's going to shock a
There's
lot of people, but that's just the way it is. That's what my story is, and that's how I perceived him. You know.
Mhm.
And so, yep.
Thank you. I want to close it there. And I also want to add a thank you as you helped me last year, because you mentioned transitioning. Sometimes people don't want to deal with some of the like more painful, the darkness. They want the light, they want the shiny, great
The
things of what the
fluffy.
light does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And desire manifestation, even though we did the octave and the grounding, but there was the aspect when I experienced the grief of the transition of a loved one and the synchronicity of how you reached back out and said that you helped her face the light and be with the light. That was so powerful and so warming for me. And basically I reached out to Matthew and said, by the way, she left us. And I said nothing else. I said he will get the message when he needs to. If he does or doesn't, it's okay, and I let it be. And in the period that we were saying our goodbyes, I got the update that he actually, no expectation, and a big thank you for how she had experienced, because also that was very similar to what you said as far as experiencing someone had to come forth as a light to open for her possibility to transition towards the light. I don't know if you remember what I'm referring to. I just want to kind of
Oh
remain
no, I
private.
remember very well. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
And
So that was very powerful. And I was like, okay, I'm good. Because it helped knowing, because I don't have a capacity of saying, hey, and I didn't really want to at that time. I was going through too much grief. What is that person experience? What did that soul experiencing? But it was, and I'm saying that for those who are experiencing deep darkness in their life or in the life of a closed one. Matthew just stated he is open to helping those in compassion, not just because I do know other practitioners. It's like I only work with the light, and there's so much darkness and chaos that we do need um, light bearers, Matthew, who are willing and able, not just willing, but also able to help in transmuting that light. You gave us an example of how to do with the grounding, but also sometimes it's beyond our pay grade, our abilities, and to reach out to someone like yourself to help with that. And I'm super grateful because it helped me tremendously and created such peace, without having to talk to many people about it. I mean, I did share with Irene of that experience, and a few close ones, but it's just a piece and a continuous of growth of loving that soul, the person, and the journey that we had together. So just again, wanted to express how much gratitude I have for your courage in listening to just go and play that drum to help her in that transition.
yeah, and we have to give thanks to the allies because
Yes.
they're the ones that, we're telling the story. They're the ones that helped, that situation. Especially Grandpa Moses. He was the grandpa that came through and he took her, and it changed her into a child and found the light inside her for her to look at the light. And, and that, you know, just for me, being the narrator of that experience is just a huge gift to be able to witness them coming in from the other side to help that little spirit go home. It was just a really touching experience, and not all of them are like that. There's a lot of devastation and people suffering their whole life. And when people cross over, it's something that a lot of us are asked to assist with because there's just a lot of harm that happens in life. And some people can't shake the emotions that they're dealing with, the sickness, the anger, the filth of what they experience in life, you know. And when we're not aware of our trials or our lessons or what we're here to complete, we're on a constant hamster wheel, just running in place and really not getting anywhere. And so it takes the allies to shine the light on the situation. And the ones I work with are ancestral, and they have the capabilities of walking between worlds. And I have Ohitika. Ohitika Blokhawakan is one of my main, and Iktomi Skaicha, a white spider, and Brave Bull Sacred. And they're both medicine men that live in spirit world. And they challenge me every moment. I don't know if I can do this. No, you can do this. This is what you do. So it's like they give me the vision of how to handle situations. And so I follow through with that. And this is my learning curve. This is where I am right now. I'm taking on some issues. I don't even get paid for it. I don't get paid for them because I feel that if someone has darkness in their world, they'll give whatever they want, but it's not so much about the money exchange for that kind of issue. It's about helping that spirit go home. Because I know for me that if I crossed over and I was stuck between worlds, I would want to go home. I wouldn't want to stay in limbo, you know? And you can't just tell somebody, oh, let's just wait, when you can come up with the money, that's bullshit. I'm sorry. That is dumb. If there's someone who's struggling, help them. And you have my grandma, she used to tell me, hey, the Catholics and the Christians have this thing called sin. Our only sin is that you have a gift and you don't use it to help the people, and
Mm.
I have a gift to help the people. And so I help,
You do.
I support.
You do. And we appreciate you for that. So thank you so much, Matthew. We're going to go ahead and put details in the description, as even your school, any activities for 2026 that you want us to share. And again, there will be some shorts because we have gone on for a great amount of time. So we're going to dissect this as well. But
Okay.
the meditation was amazing. I love your energy. That's why I definitely reached out to you and say, please come. And I appreciate you saying yes. Any last word that you want to share before we close out?
I just want to say a prayer for everything we did today, and just thank the spirits and thank the ones that are speaking through me. And I just want to say, oh, great white light spirit, whose voice we hear in the wind, whose breath-giving life is for all in the world and creation. We come before you, one of your many children out of so many lifetimes. We are with its understanding and sometimes weak of heart. We need your wisdom, your strength, and your knowledge. Make our eyes ever behold your red, orange, gold, and purple sunsets. Make our hands respect the things you have made. Make our ears sharp to hear your voice. Let us speak with wisdom, with your voice from within. Teach us the things you have taught others, the lessons hidden in a rock or in a leaf. We need your strength of divine love, and not to be superior to our fellow man or to nature, but to be able to fight our greatest enemies, ourselves. Let us ever come to you with straight open eyes and a clean, clear heart, body, mind, and soul spirit. For when our lives fade as the fading sun sets each day, our spirits may come to you without shame. Matakyasan. So that is a prayer that, it's about working on yourself and changing your octave and really honoring who you are.
Beautiful. And with that, thank you, thank you, thank you.